A 31-year-old young leader was shaping America's political future. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, had awakened the political consciousness of millions of young Americans. That day at Utah Valley University, both his life and America's history changed forever. Today I'll tell you about Charlie Kirk's final days, the legacy he left behind, and the impact this tragic event had on America. This isn't just one person's story. It's the story of a generation losing their leader. Charlie Kirk was born in Chicago in 1991. He came from an ordinary American family. His father was an architect, his mother a homemaker. But the ideas spinning in Charlie's mind were anything but ordinary. In 2012, at just 18 years old, he made a bold decision. He dropped out of college and founded Turning Point USA. His friends and family were shocked by this decision. "What are you doing, Charlie?" they asked. But Charlie's vision was clear. He wanted to create a conservative movement for young Americans. In an era when left-wing ideology was sweeping campuses, Charlie decided to be a different voice. He didn't know yet that this decision would make him one of America's most controversial, but also most influential young leaders. The early years were tough. Charlie spoke at small meetings, set up booths on campuses, talked to students one by one. He was often opposed, protested against, but he never gave up. In 2016, the big opportunity came. He received an offer to work with Donald Trump's presidential campaign. This was the turning point of Charlie's life. Trump needed Charlie's energy and charisma to increase support among young voters. When Charlie took on this role, Turning Point USA also began to grow. In 2017, they had 100 campuses. By 2020, they had 500 campuses. And by 2025, they had organized on more than 800 campuses. His podcast, The Charlie Kirk Show, reached millions of listeners. His social media accounts had a total of 10 million followers. Charlie was no longer just an activist. He had become a media phenomenon. But success brought criticism along with it. Some of Charlie's statements were controversial. His questioning of the 2020 election results, his anti-vaccine rhetoric, his closeness with some far-right figures drew criticism. No one knew yet that Charlie's greatest achievement, campus tours, would also be the cause of his death. In September 2025, Charlie excitedly announced his new project, the American Comeback Tour. This was a major tour that would visit 15 different universities across America, meeting directly with young people. The tour plan was this: 15 stops total in Utah, Colorado, Minnesota, Virginia, and other states. Each stop would host events for 2,000 to 5,000 people. Charlie's goal was to make young Republicans more active in Trump's second term. Utah Valley University was chosen as the first stop. This had a special reason. Utah was the state of Senator Mike Lee, a strong supporter of Charlie's. Also, there was great interest among conservative youth in Utah. Charlie had released a video before the tour. "This isn't just a speaking tour. This is a mobilization call for America's future," he had said. You could see the excitement in his eyes. Erica Kirk would later tell how much her husband had prepared for this tour. Charlie prepared his speech for days. He wanted to inspire young people. This wasn't just a job for him, it was a mission. On the evening of September 9th, Charlie flew to Utah. After settling into his hotel, he made final preparations with his team. No one anticipated that the next day would end in tragedy. September 10th, 2025, Tuesday. Charlie woke up early. While having breakfast at the hotel, he reviewed his speech with his team. The main theme of his speech was, "Youth is America's future." At 10 a.m., he arrived at Utah Valley University campus. The campus was beautiful, surrounded by Utah's mountains, notable for its modern buildings. Charlie chatted with students while touring the campus, took selfies. The event was to be held at the outdoor amphitheater near the Keller building. It had a capacity of 3,000 people and was largely filled. Young faces, excited looks, American flags. Charlie loved this atmosphere. At 11:30 a.m., he made his final preparations backstage. He spoke with the security team. Actually, this security issue was a very important detail, but no one was thinking enough about it at the time. Utah Valley University had only 6 campus police officers on duty. Was this number sufficient for a 3,000-person event? The answer to this question would be no in later evaluations. The FBI would later write in their security report, standard campus security protocol was applied for the event. However, additional security measures should have been taken for a figure of this level. Charlie didn't know this. At that moment, only the message he would give to students was on his mind. At 12 p.m., Charlie took the stage. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Charlie energetically walked around the stage, waved his hand. This was his favorite moment, the moment when he connected directly with young people. "Utah, I have so much to tell you today," he began his speech. His voice carried its usual confidence. "America's future is sitting in this hall." For the first 20 minutes, Charlie spoke as he always did. America's values, the responsibility of youth, the importance of conservative ideals. The audience was mesmerized. "Some will tell you the American dream is dead, but I tell you that the American dream lives here, in your hearts." The crowd cheered with enthusiasm. In his speech, Charlie said, "I make you a promise. Throughout this tour, on every campus, I will show you the real face of America. Not the America the media tells you about, but the real America." While he was saying these words, no one knew that these would be Charlie's last public words. At 12:29 p.m., the tragic event occurred. Charlie was in the middle of his speech saying, "As young people, when a sharp sound was heard." Eyewitness Luke Pittman later recounted, "At first, we thought it was confetti exploding. Then, Charlie touched his neck and we saw blood. At that moment, everyone crouched down in panic. Charlie's security team immediately sprang into action. They removed him from the stage. The ambulance arrived within minutes. Charlie was conscious, but his condition was serious. The crowd was in great panic. Students were running, crying, calling their families on their phones. Campus police immediately began searching. Charlie was taken to the hospital, but despite doctors' efforts, they could not save his life. It was announced that he died at 1:45 p.m. Donald Trump was the first to hear the news. His announcement on Truth Social shook America. The great and legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood the hearts of America's youth better than him. Erica Kirk was at home when she received the news of her husband's death. She was with her 2 young children, her 1-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter. No one can describe that moment. Utah Governor Spencer Cox held an emergency press conference. "This is a political assassination. We will find those responsible and ensure justice." The FBI immediately began a large-scale investigation. They surrounded the campus, searched rooftops, examined security cameras. Reactions began pouring in from across America. Republican senators were in shock. Democratic politicians also condemned political violence. Tucker Carlson said tearfully on his program that evening, "Charlie was only 31 years old. He was one of America's brightest young minds. Losing him this way is unacceptable." But the real question was, who had done this? And why? The FBI investigation developed rapidly. Security cameras showed a person climbing onto the roof and fleeing after the shot. Important clues were also found on the roof: DNA samples, a screwdriver, and the towel that wrapped the rifle. 48 hours later, the big development: 22-year-old Tyler Robinson was taken into custody. So who was this young man? Robinson lived in Washington County, in southwestern Utah. According to his family, his political views had hardened in recent years. He specifically accused Charlie Kirk of spreading hate. The evidence found by the FBI was shocking. Robinson's DNA was on the towel and screwdriver on the roof. Also, messages planning to kill Charlie Kirk came from his phone. Most surprisingly, Robinson had confessed in a group chat before doing this. "Guys, I have bad news. It was me at UVU. I'm sorry." But Robinson's motivation wasn't entirely clear. Some sources said he had far-left views. Others claimed he was connected to the far-right Groypers movement. FBI Director Kash Patel said in a statement, "We are investigating Robinson's political motivations. We are also examining whether there is a larger network behind this attack." Robinson's family was in shock. When his father recognized his son from FBI photos, he called police and convinced him to surrender. "My son couldn't do such a thing," he had said. But the evidence was very clear. This tragedy led to major debates in America. The biggest question was campus security. Was only 6 security guards sufficient for a 3,000-person event? Security expert Dr. Maria Santos said on CNN, "Additional security measures should definitely have been taken for polarizing figures like Charlie Kirk. This was a security gap." Utah Valley University administration said in their defense, "We fully implemented our protocols. We followed our standard security procedure for such events." But criticism was growing. Because Charlie Kirk had received numerous threats in recent years, he regularly received hate messages on his social media accounts. The second big question was the increase in political violence. Attacks on political figures had increased in America in recent years. 2 assassination attempts on Trump, the attack on Paul Pelosi, threats against Justice Kavanaugh. Political scientist Professor James Miller commented, "Political polarization in America has increased so much that the tendency to see the other side as an enemy has strengthened. This also legitimizes violence." The third question was the issue of youth radicalization. Tyler Robinson was only 22 years old. How had he been radicalized on online platforms? Digital media expert Dr. Sarah Chen said, "Young people can become radicalized in online echo chambers. Algorithms direct them to more extreme content." After Charlie's death, the biggest question was, what would happen to Turning Point USA? Erica Kirk made a powerful statement after her husband's funeral. "The movement Charlie built will not die. My team and I will continue this mission." This statement was significant because Erica's tone was determined, but the grief in her eyes was evident. How she would carry this burden with her 2 young children was a matter of curiosity. Turning Point USA's board of directors met urgently to determine the new structure. Bill Montgomery, Charlie's right-hand man, became interim president. Montgomery had been working with Charlie for 8 years and knew the organization's DNA very well. "We will keep Charlie's vision alive," Montgomery said at an emotional press conference. "We will continue our organization on 800 campuses. We will continue reaching out to young people. Charlie's spirit will live on every campus." But the real truth was, who could fill Charlie's charismatic leadership? The answer to this question would become clear over time. The American Comeback Tour was immediately canceled. Tickets were refunded. Event venues were canceled. But Turning Point USA announced it would continue its other events. The biggest change was security measures. Charlie's death led to a major security overhaul in the organization. From now on, professional security companies would be used at all events. Metal detectors would be mandatory. Surrounding buildings would be checked in advance, and air security would be provided with drones. Charlie's death also deeply affected the young wing of the Republican Party. Young Republicans had lost a major source of inspiration. Charlie's absence was considered a major loss, especially for the 2026 midterm elections. Trump announced that a special memorial ceremony would be held for Charlie. "I will give Charlie the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He deserves it very much. He was a true patriot." Some congressmen in Congress proposed that Charlie's statue be erected in the Capitol. Representative Anna Paulina Luna was taking the lead on this issue. Charlie's death affected not only Republicans, but all of America. A rare consensus formed on the need to take a common stance against political violence. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer had said, "We were not politically in agreement with Charlie, but violence can never be a solution. We condemn this tragedy. We reject this attack on American democracy." This statement was important because Schumer was normally a harsh critic of Charlie's. Joe Biden also said in his statement from the Oval Office, "Political differences are not resolved with violence in America." I offer my condolences to Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. This kind of political violence is contrary to America's values. This common stance was truly hopeful. Perhaps Charlie's death could create a unifying effect in polarized America. However, the situation was different on social media. Numerous conspiracy theories were produced about Charlie's death. Some claimed it was a deep state assassination. Others developed false flag operation theories. FBI Director Kash Patel made a harsh statement against these theories. A lot of misinformation is circulating around Charlie Kirk's death. This disinformation is harming the investigation and upsetting his family. A major security overhaul began on university campuses. Many schools reviewed their event procedures. Mandatory security measures were now introduced for political figures' speeches. Stanford University security expert Dr. Jennifer Walsh said on CNN, "The Charlie Kirk case was a turning point in campus security. Now, no institution can say, 'Such a thing won't happen to us.'" Utah Valley University took two important steps in Charlie's memory. First, the Charlie Kirk Leadership Scholarship was established. This scholarship would be given to students studying political science. Second, a peaceful dialogue center was opened on campus, a space where students with different views could debate in a safe environment. Major changes also occurred in media. Many news channels appointed political violence prevention editors. Social media companies made algorithm changes and began filtering content that encouraged violence more strictly. Charlie Kirk lived only 31 years, but in this short time, he had a tremendous impact. Millions of young people were influenced by his ideas and became acquainted with the political system. Perhaps his greatest legacy was this: making young people interested in politics. Right or left didn't matter. Charlie believed that young people should not remain passive. Being politically indifferent is not a luxury, it's an escape from responsibility, he would say. Youth is America's future, he had said in one of his last speeches. And he was right. Today, millions of young people in America have become interested in politics. Political debates on university campuses increased due to Charlie's influence. But Charlie's death is not only tragic, but also instructive. This event taught America many lessons. First, that political violence is unacceptable. Second, that security measures must always be taken seriously. Third, that online radicalization is a real threat. According to a poll conducted 6 months after Charlie's death, 73% of Americans said political violence is unacceptable under any circumstances. This rate was around 60% in previous years. Charlie's death had increased this awareness. Turning Point USA continued to grow. After Charlie's death, participation in the organization increased by 40%. Young people joined the movement to keep his memory alive. Erica Kirk emerged as a strong leader. As Charlie's wife, she became not only a woman mourning, but also a figure ensuring the continuation of the movement. "Charlie's vision will not die with me," she said. In the 2026 midterm elections, young candidates supported by Turning Point USA achieved great success. Charlie's name was used as a source of inspiration in many campaigns. But perhaps Charlie's most important legacy is this: reminding people with different views to see each other as human beings. Charlie's death strengthened the understanding of political rival, not political enemy, in America. The Charlie Kirk Peaceful Dialogue Institute was established at Princeton University. At this institute, young people from different ideologies come together and debate. "This is how Charlie's memory should be kept alive," says the institute director. Tyler Robinson was sentenced to life imprisonment. His final statement in court was remarkable. "I wish I could have seen Charlie Kirk as a human being. I wish I could have just heard his political thoughts." This statement shows how dangerous dehumanization is in politics. Charlie was not just a political figure, he was a human being, a father, a husband, a son. Today, Charlie Kirk's ideas continue to live in the minds of millions of young people. Turning Point USA continues its work. Conservative youth organizations have strengthened across America. This concludes Charlie Kirk's story. In memory of a leader we lost at 31. This video is not just one person's story, but also contains important lessons about America's current political climate. Charlie's life and death remind us politics should be human-centered. Violence is never the solution. If this video was thought-provoking for you, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss similar content. You can share your thoughts about this topic in the comments, but please use respectful language. Let Charlie Kirk's legacy be that young people participate in politics through peaceful means. In his name, let's continue working for a better America. Until we meet in the next video, I offer you my respects.